Hey everyone, and welcome to another episode of the GC Informer, Gamecast's very own news program. I'm your host for today, Mark, also known as Koistorch. First up, Japan is getting an official Eevee Tamagotchi. This is pretty cool in general and a nice piece of cross-promotion given Pokemon Let's Go's recent release. It works like any other Tamagotchi, with regular feedings and just general care for your Eevee. Eevee can evolve into one of its many evolutions depending on how you care for it, and there's even a possibility of a Ditto Eevee and a Team Rocket one. It sounds like a cool piece of merch, and it'd be nice to see it translated or even just released in the West, as Tamagotchis are pretty straightforward anyway. The Tamagotchi will be made by Bandai and come in two different designs, but the Tamagotchi itself is the same. It will release early next year, and we'll just have to wait and see about localization or imports. Next up, as a cool promotion for the upcoming Smash Bros. Ultimate, Nintendo are re-releasing the previous Smash Bros. Amiibos in a very limited run collector box on Amazon Japan. The box will include 63 Amiibos, a special poster, and the collector's box. The poster is of the regular Battlefield stage, and while it is iconic, I would have preferred the awesome mural art they've been using to reveal characters up till now, which would have been a nice addition. There's no word yet on price for the set, but one can assume it'd be pretty expensive given the individual prices of a regular Amiibo multiplied by 63, and then some because of the box and limited run. Only 50 boxes will be made, and they are only available through Amazon Japan on December 7th. Hopefully there will be some sort of equivalent for Western countries, or a re-release of some of the older Amiibos, as the aftermarket prices on Amiibos is all over the place, and it's annoying for anyone who just wants a collection. Next up, development on Kingdom Hearts 3 has officially finished. After years of waiting, the game is almost ready. This should mean no more delays or disruptions, and it will reach Western audiences on January 29th without issue. It's been a long time coming, although I feel like the wait has been exaggerated a bit as the gap between 2 and 3 may be huge, but there were plenty of games released between the two. And if you have any interest in following the story, you'd no doubt have played all of the spin-offs, as each of them holds some sort of greater significance for the narrative. Especially Birth by Sleep and 0.2 A Fragmentary Passage. It's been a long, convoluted journey for many, and I'm just hoping for some sense of closure for this title, as I know it won't be the last Kingdom Hearts game, but it is meant to wrap up this arc, which has been building in complexity since the original PS2 title, where all it had going for it was a fusion between Disney and Final Fantasy. Now it has become its own entity separate from Final Fantasy, but still very strongly influenced by Disney. I still want a little Final Fantasy representation though, as that's what got me into these games in the first place. But now I'm getting a bit off track. It's good to know the game is done and we'll all be playing it soon. It won't feel real until that moment, much like Final Fantasy 15 did for me. I still didn't think it was real until around halfway through that game. And lastly today, we have some interesting news about Steam. For those that may or may not know, Steam recently added Australian pricing to their storefront after years and years and years of asking. Many were worried that this Australian pricing would be much like the Australian retail market, where prices are inflated more than they should be, rather than a direct conversion. For some titles on Steam it is a direct conversion, while others are a bit of an inflated estimation to round out the numbers better. It's a bit annoying, but hopefully it'll be fixed soon, as the new pricing only just happened. The big issue, however, is that if a developer doesn't list an Australian price, that game is locked out from the Australian purchases, meaning a fairly sizable chunk of games are now unavailable to Aussies. Apparently an email was sent to all developers to remind them to list an Aussie price, but clearly it hasn't been heeded by everyone. For example, I can't buy The Binding of Isaac anymore. It's a pretty big oversight right now, especially since just a few days ago there was no problem at all. I'm hoping it'll all be fixed soon, as there's no reason why the games should be unavailable. And that's all the time we have for today. Please don't forget to like and subscribe, and please let us know what you thought of today's topics in the comments below. You can also find me over at Arisen Culture. Until next time, bye!